In the summer of 2002, twin sisters Haley and Brooke Merrill left a neighborhood pool party and were never seen again. No witnesses, no clues, just silence. For 13 years, their case stayed cold, until an unmarked envelope appeared in their mother's mailbox. Inside was a mini DV tape. Before we start, please help me get a 1,000 subscribers. And right where are you watching this video from? It was the kind of summer night that felt too safe to be dangerous. July 13th, 2002, a humid Saturday in Rose Hill, Pennsylvania, where porch lights flickered on at dusk and lawn sprinklers tapped out their rhythms in the dark. At 8:45 p.m., Haley and Brooke Merrill, 15-year-old identical twins, were seen laughing near the edge of a backyard pool. It was a neighbor's party, just a few houses down, nothing wild. Just teenagers, snacks, music from a portable stereo. Classic suburban summer. At 9:04 p.m., they were spotted near the back gate, shoes in hand, towels over their shoulders. A few people remember them saying goodnight. One girl recalled Haley joking about sneaking home through the woods to scare their cat. No one watched them leave the yard. No one saw them reach the sidewalk. No one saw what happened next. By 10:15 p.m., their parents, Elena and Grant Merrill, were getting uneasy. The girls weren't answering their flip phones. The kind of silence that doesn't feel like disobedience, but like something else entirely. By 11:30 p.m., they were knocking on doors, retracing footsteps. By 12:06 a.m., a missing persons report had been filed. And by morning, their faces were on local TV. Their room was untouched. 2 duffel bags sat at the foot of their shared bed, still packed for a beach trip they had planned for the next day. No sign of struggle. No note. No digital trail. Both phones off. Batteries removed. Last pings placed them near home. The small police force organized a grid search. Neighbors walked the woods with flashlights. Drones didn't exist then, and thermal scanners were out of budget. They combed creeks, scanned drainage ditches, reviewed hours of VHS quality party footage from other guests. Nothing. The backyard party had felt ordinary. But by the second day, it became the center of the town's unease. Had someone followed them? Had they planned to meet someone? Why hadn't anyone seen them reach the street? The questions were louder than the answers. And by the end of the week, the search lost momentum. The town moved on, as towns do. The posters faded in the rain. The news cameras stopped showing up. People returned to their routines. Parents stopped letting their kids out after sunset. And the Merrill house, the one with the yellow porch swing, stayed lit every night. Just in case. Haley and Brooke Merrill were never found out. No signs. No evidence. No messages. They had walked out a party and vanished from the world. Willow Creek had always worn its charm like a badge of honor. Tidy lawns, matching mailboxes, neighborhood potlucks, and back-to-school parades. The kind of place where garages stayed unlocked, and most people left their porch lights on more out of habit than necessity. But after the Merrill twins disappeared, everything changed. At first, the neighborhood rallied. Flyers were stapled to every stop sign. Search parties set out with coolers and granola bars. Local news crews parked on the cul-de-sac for 5 days straight. But behind the cameras, something else began to stir. Whispers. Speculation. Suspicion. They were popular girls. Maybe too popular, one neighbor muttered during a town hall. I heard there was drama at the party, said another. Jealousy. Something about a boy. Within a week, the narrative had fractured. Some people blamed the twins themselves, said they probably ran off. Others blamed the party host for not watching the kids closely. And then there were those who said it must have been someone from outside Willow Creek, because no one here would ever do something like that. But even in perfect suburbs, darkness doesn't always knock. Sometimes it walks through the side gate. One name kept coming up. Avery Dunn. 17. Loner. Quiet. Lived just 2 blocks away. He'd been seen lingering near the back fence the night of the party. A neighbor said he left early, looked nervous. Rumor was he'd had a crush on Brooke, maybe both girls. Stories blurred. Detectives brought him in for questioning. He denied everything. He had no solid alibi, but no evidence tied him to the disappearance. His car was clean. His phone was off that night. He said he left early because the party felt weird. After 2 hours, he was released. No charges. No further questions. The official police report, filed 17 days after the disappearance, concluded the following. No signs of forced entry or struggled. No physical evidence of abduction. Subjects may have left voluntarily. That line would haunt Elena Merrill for years. Left voluntarily. As if her daughters, both responsible, cautious, deeply bonded to their family, would walk out into the night without a plan, without a word, and never look back. She never believed it. Not for a second. By the end of the summer, the media had moved on. Another missing person's story replaced theirs. Willow Creek returned to routine, though quieter now. More guarded. Parents walked their kids to the bus stop. Teens had curfews. Security cameras went up. The houses still looked perfect from the outside. But every fence felt a little taller, and every neighbor watched just a little more closely. Because deep down, they all knew. Something had cracked the surface, and the twins hadn't just vanished. They had been taken from right under everyone's nose. Some families grieved. Others go silent. But the Merrills chose something different. They fought. From the day Haley and Brooke disappeared, Elena and Grant Merrill made it their mission to bring them home. Every morning began the same. Coffee, silence, then more searching. Leads, lists, maps, calls to stations across the country. Meetings with reporters, investigators, anyone who would listen. They became fixtures on local news, holding up weather-worn photos, reciting the same plea. They didn't run away. Someone knows something. Please, come forward. They printed over 10,000 flyers in the first year, posted them in every store, gas station, and park within 5 counties. When winter came, they laminated them against the snow. At first, the town supported them. Neighbors joined searches. Local businesses offered space in their windows. People brought casseroles, candles, prayers. But with time came fatigue. By the 3rd year, the calls stopped coming. By the 5th, neighbors avoided eye contact at the grocery store. By the 7th, most people in Willow Creek had moved on. But the Merrills hadn't. In 2005, a tip arrived from New Mexico. A gas station clerk claimed to have seen 2 girls who looked just like them. They had asked for directions, paid in cash, and left before police could respond. Elena and Grant flew there the same night. But it wasn't them. The clerk had misremembered, or imagined it, or something worse, someone's idea of a cruel joke. Still, Elena kept the gas receipt from that trip. Folded, dated, labeled. By year 10, the weight of it all began to show. Grant's health started fading. The stress, the grief, the years of not knowing, it changed him. He withdrew, grew quiet. The press calls stopped. His voice no longer carried the same fire. But Elena never slowed down. She became sharper, more focused. Every unanswered question fed her resolve. In the back of her closet, beneath a stack of old linens, she kept a sealed plastic box. On the lid, truth. Inside, asterisk printed emails from people who claimed to know something. Asterisk hand-drawn maps of Willow Creek. Asterisk party guest lists. Asterisk receipts. Photos. Old VHS covers. Asterisk newspaper clippings. Avery Dunn's name, circled in red. To anyone else, it might have looked like obsession. But to Elena, it was survival. I don't need justice, she once said. I need the truth. I think it's right here, in this town. It always was. And in a way, she was right. Because 13 years after her daughters disappeared, an envelope would appear in her mailbox. No stamp, no return address, just a small plastic case. And inside, a tape. A piece of that long-buried truth, finally making its way home. 13 years after the Merrill twins vanished, their case resurfaced. Not because of a new witness or a sudden breakthrough, but because of a question buried in a public records request. In early 2015, a law student researching cold cases filed a request for the Willow Creek disappearance files. What returned surprised even the department. Missing pages, duplicate timestamps, and contradictory officer notes. Most cases fade due to silence. This one faded under inconsistency. Enter Detective Monica Ray. Ray wasn't from Willow Creek. She'd spent the last decade working cold case rotations in Philadelphia. Meticulous, relentless, allergic to shortcuts. She had a reputation for seeing patterns where others saw paper. When she opened the Merrill file, she knew something was wrong. The timeline was fractured. Statements were missing. And the central event, the pool party, had never been fully reconstructed. So, she went back to the beginning. July 13th, 2002. A summer Saturday. The backyard party was hosted by the Martin family. Neighbors, well-regarded, 2 kids of their own. The invitation was casual, word of mouth. No list. No sign-ins. Just teens showing up with towels and soda, drifting in and out. By the best estimates, there were 37 people present at its peak. 5 adults were there. Briefly. By 8 p.m., all had left or retreated inside. From then on, the teenagers had the place to themselves. No security. No chaperones. No structure. Just music, water, and the open gate near the back fence. Ray began tracking down former guests, now in their late 20s and early 30s. Some didn't remember much. Others were reluctant to talk. But one, Lucas Jenner, recalled something interesting. There was a camcorder, he said. A silver handheld. Someone was walking around filming for like an hour. People diving, dancing, that kind of thing. Ray leaned in. Do you remember who had it? He paused. I think it changed hands, but I'm pretty sure Derek Vance had it at one point. The name hadn't appeared in the original file. Ray looked him up. Derek still lived nearby, now managing a local electronic shop. When she visited, he was polite but wary. Yes, he remembered the camera. But it wasn't mine. I think it was Avery's, or maybe someone else's. We passed it around. Do you know what happened to it? He hesitated. Not exactly. I think someone said it got lost, or taped over. But something in his voice told her that wasn't the whole truth. Ray left her card and walked out, her mind already turning. It appeared without warning. No knock on the door. No delivery van. No tracking number. Just an unmarked manila envelope, tucked neatly inside Elena Merrill's mailbox on a Tuesday morning in early August 2015. The handwriting on the front was barely legible. No name, no return address. Just one word, scrawled in shaky black ink. Play. Inside was a mini DV tape, the kind used in old camcorders. The label was faded, smudged, almost unreadable. But one detail made Elena's breath catch. A small blue sticker on the side, the kind she used to put on her daughter's notebooks in middle school. She didn't need to read it to know what it was. This tape was from that night. Elena didn't own a mini DV player. She hadn't for over a decade. She called Detective Monica Ray and barely got the words out. By noon, the tape was in Ray's hands. She took it straight to the department's media specialist, who began digitizing the footage with slow, careful hands. The screen filled with the shaky glow of summer. The first 5 minutes were ordinary. Teens in swimsuits laughing near the edge of a pool. Someone dunking someone else. Pop music echoing from cheap outdoor speakers. Grainy light. Blurry smiles. The sort of footage you'd expect from a backyard party in 2002. But the timestamp in the corner kept ticking. 9:19 p.m. Camera pans across a group of boys play wrestling on the lawn. 9:20 p.m. Someone else takes the camera. Shakier hands now. Brief zoom into the sky. Wind on the microphone. Then, at 9:21 p.m., the lens drifts lazily toward the far end of the yard, toward the back fence. And that's when everything changes. The camera catches Haley and Brooke in the distance, walking toward the back of the yard. Their towels hang loose over their shoulders, their heads tilted toward each other like they're sharing a joke. At 9:21 and 14 seconds p.m., Brooke glances back, her face just clear enough to make out. Haley lifts her hand in a small wave. Someone's there, just outside the frame. At 9:21 and 19 seconds p.m., as the girls push open the side gate, a car appears, just a sliver of it, parked off to the right beyond the fence. Dark body. Older model. No headlights. Just barely visible through the hedges. Ray freezes the frame. Zooms in. Enhances. Nothing. No plate. No identifying marks. The trees obscure too much. The lighting is poor. But one detail stands out. The driver's side door is already open. Ray plays the next 5 seconds on loop. The girls step forward. Then, the camera jolts. As if the person filming turns suddenly. There's a blur of motion, then cut to black. No fade. No accidental drop. No glitch. A hard cut. Deliberate. Ray sits back, breathing slower now. It's clear what she's looking at. Asterisk the Merrill twins left the party by foot. Asterisk someone was waiting just beyond the yard. Asterisk they acknowledged that person. Asterisk, and the moment that acknowledgement happened, the tape ended. It wasn't a coincidence. It was a boundary. A threshold moment. The exact second before everything changed. She replays it again, this time with the party's ambient audio turned up to. There's music, laughter, then quiet, then one sound, barely audible, maybe a word, maybe a name, from Haley or Brooke. It's too faint to be sure, but the direction of the wave, the timing of the car, the cut. It tells a story. Detective Monica Ray flipped through the original case file one more time. Buried near the back, in a half-complete interview summary, was a name that hadn't surfaced in years. Madison Quinn, listed as Haley and Brooke Merrill's closest friend. The original report noted she was cooperative but distressed. That's where the documentation ended. No follow-up, no transcript, just a sentence. Moved out of state shortly after. Ray made a call. Madison Quinn lived 3 hours south now, in a modest apartment above a florist shop. Her voice on the phone was cautious, but steady. She agreed to meet. Said she had been expecting the pass to knock eventually. When Ray arrived, Madison looked older than her 28 years. Not in age, but in weight. The kind people carry when something was never finished. They sat by the window. Sunlight poured in through pale curtains. A pot of tea went cold between them. And then, slowly, Madison spoke. I didn't move because of college, she said quietly. That's what I told people. But I couldn't take it anymore. The whispers. The way everyone looked at me. Like I knew more than I said. Ray nodded, but didn't interrupt. The truth is, the girls did tell me something that night. She paused, searching for the right words. They said they weren't staying long at the party. That they had something they needed to do. Did they say what? Ray asked. Madison hesitated. Then, almost in a whisper, they thought someone had been following them. Ray's pen froze. What do you mean? It started a few weeks before. They said there was this car they kept seeing. Dark, older, same one every time. First near school, then outside the grocery store, once across from our bus stop. Did they tell their parents? They were going to, but Haley wanted to be sure first. She said they might recognize the guy, that it might be someone from nearby. Ray leaned in. So what were they planning to do that night? They said they were going to confront him. Just talk. Brooke wasn't crazy about the idea, but she went along because they always did everything together. She looked up, her eyes brimming. They weren't running away. They were trying to face something. Ray's voice softened. Did they ever say a name? No, just that he seemed familiar. Like they'd seen him before they started noticing him. Haley thought maybe it was someone from their dad's work. Or a neighbor. But nothing specific. Madison shook her head. If they knew more, they didn't tell me. She glanced out the window. I didn't say any of this back then because I thought I'd imagined it. I thought maybe they changed their mind and didn't go. But when the tape showed up, the message came in just after 2 a.m. A voicemail, left on the department's cold case tip line, a number few people even knew still existed. It was short, distorted, shaky. A man's voice, filtered through static and panic. Check the storm tunnel behind Briar Hill. You'll find what they left behind. I can't say more. I shouldn't even be calling. Then, click. Silence. No name. No number. The call was routed through a burner phone and bounced through 2 dead towers. Untraceable. But the location? Briar Hill was real. Detective Ray didn't wait. By sunrise, she was standing at the edge of the overgrown access road behind the Briar Hill development. An unfinished housing project abandoned since the late 90s. Its skeletal frames long torn down. The land left wild and unclaimed. Local kids had always called it the Flats. Ray had never heard of storm tunnel here. But with the Public Works Department's help, she found it. Behind a collapsed fence and a tangle of vines, a rusted metal grate covered the tunnel's mouth. Wide enough to walk through, but damp and forgotten. She and 2 officers pried the grate loose. The metal shrieked. Inside, the tunnel stretched 30 yards before vanishing into shadow. At 22 feet in, they found it. Tucked against the wall, wedged under a concrete ledge, sat a small waterproof box, the kind used by hikers or boaters. Faded gray plastic, sealed with red tape. It was dusty, but not ancient. Someone had put it there recently. Ray popped the latch. Inside, a carefully arranged set of items. Each one intentional. Each one telling a story. Asterisk 2 friendship bracelets, frayed and worn, braided with the exact color pattern seen in old photos of Haley and Brooke. Asterisk a torn page from a line journal, The ink slightly smeared, but still readable. He said we weren't supposed to say anything. But Haley wants to go anyway. She says we have to. That he can't scare us anymore. Asterisk and finally, a small metal key, tarnished with age, tied with a red ribbon. There was no note. No clue where the key fit. The key with the red ribbon sat on Detective Ray's desk for 2 days. Standard storage keys weren't exactly rare, but this one had a distinct shape. Rounded at the top, 3 teeth, and a manufacturer's stamp that read Northgate Storage Solutions. A small chain of facilities, most now defunct, that had operated in the region during the early 2000s. Ray pulled old lease records. By cross-referencing years and locations, she found a lead. An abandoned unit in a shuttered Northgate storage lot just outside Darrow County, less than 45 miles from Willow Creek. It hadn't been accessed since 2004. Unit number 147. No listed owner. No payment record. No lock on the file. Just a lingering status in the system. Unclaimed. Contents sealed. Until now. The facility was quiet. Fenced, cracked pavement, metal doors dusted with years of disuse. Ray arrived with 2 uniformed officers and a court order. Unit 147 was near the back. The lock was old, rusted, but the red ribbon key fit perfectly. It clicked open. Inside was a single item, a dark blue duffel bag. Dusty, but not decayed. She unzipped it carefully. Inside, a stack of school notebooks, most filled with doodles and half-completed assignments. A bottle of lip gloss with faded glitter. A cracked flip phone, the same model Brooke Merrill was known to carry. A friendship bracelet, similar to the ones found in the storm tunnel. And at the very bottom, a folded receipt for Clark's Gas and Goods, dated July 13, 2002, the day the girls vanished. The time, 4:22 p.m. Ray brought the phone to the tech lab immediately. It was damaged, the screen dark, but the internal chip was intact. It took 8 hours, but the forensic team managed to extract fragments of data, mostly corrupted, mostly lost. But one file survived. A message draft, never sent, saved automatically in the background. We saw him again. He was at the gas station. Haley said she'd talk to him tonight. I told her it wasn't a good idea, but she said the rest was unreadable. Fragmented code. Lost the time, but the meaning was already clear. The gas station was still there, Clark's Gas and Goods, just off Route 6, a family-run shop that hadn't changed much since 2002. The signage had faded, the gravel lot was uneven, but the owner, Rick Clark, remembered the summer the Merrill twins vanished. I didn't see them that day, he said, but I remember the buzz. Police everywhere. Detective Ray asked about security footage. He chuckled. From that far back. Nah, those tapes are long gone. But Rick had something else. An old hard drive his son had salvaged while updating their camera system 5 years earlier. It had collected dust ever since in the storage room. Labeled PRE 2005 Backup. Ray brought it in. The tech team took 2 days to decrypt and stabilize the footage. And on the afternoon of July 13, 2002, 4:22 p.m., the screen showed a low-res view of the parking lot. Grainy, sun-washed, time-stamped. At the edge of the frame, 2 girls. Haley and Brooke. They walk past a parked car. Pause. Look toward someone off camera. Haley takes a step forward, as if to speak, but then turns back. Brooke tugs her arm gently. They disappear behind the building. Then, he appears. A man in his 30s. Ball cap pulled low. Sunglasses. Loose gray t-shirt. Hands in his pockets. He stands still by the driver's side of a dark green sedan. Old model. Square headlights. Rust along the bumper. He glances toward the camera once, then opens the door and drives off. That would have been it. But Ray had seen him before. She went back to the digitized pool party tape, paused it at 9:21 p.m., the moment the girls exited through the backyard gate. There, beyond the hedges, sat the same dark green sedan, barely visible. Same shape, same color, same shadows. She captured the frame and had it enhanced, overlaid with the gas station image. It matched. Ray pulled every available public photo from that summer. Willow Creek's 4th of July parade, the community carnival, the school fundraiser. She zoomed in on backgrounds, reflections, bystanders, and found him again, in 3 separate frames. Always on the edge, never speaking, Never central. But always there. She ran facial recognition through state and federal systems. No hits. No ID. She checked DMV archives. No registration history matching the car. No address. No license. No known alias. A ghost in the records. She started digging. She pulled records from surrounding counties, focusing on cases that had faded without resolution. Young girls, roughly the same age, who had vanished under unclear circumstances. By the end of the week, she had found two. Case 1. Leah Parkman Summer, 1998, Bedford County, 40 miles west of Willow Creek. Leah was 16. Last seen at a friend's backyard party, just before dusk. She told friends she was walking home, less than 6 blocks away. She never arrived. Declared a possible runaway. Case closed within a month. Parents insisted otherwise. A neighbor, years later, recalled seeing a dark green sedan parked near the end of the street. The driver sat motionless with sunglasses on, engine running. The detail was dismissed at the time, too vague to pursue. Ray reopened the file. The official report made no mention of a witness statement. Case 2. Emily Barlow, July, 2001, Red Haven, about an hour south. Emily, age 15, attended a local swim club gathering hosted by her school's booster committee. Plenty of people. Parents. Music. Laughter. She left to grab her phone from her bike outside the gate. She never came back. Search teams combed the area. Nothing. Declared a voluntary disappearance after an old note was found in her room, but her family said it was a year old and completely unrelated. Buried in the file, a blurry photo taken by a guest at the party. In the far background, barely noticeable, a dark green vehicle, partially blocked by trees. No one at the time thought to zoom in. Ray did. It wasn't a perfect match, but it was close. Too close. 3 girls. 3 pool parties. 3 nights that ended in silence. And 1 vehicle that didn't belong in any of them. It came from a forgotten box in the back office of the Harbor Glen Motel, a faded roadside and just 20 minutes outside Willow Creek. Detective Monica Ray hadn't expected much when she stopped by. Most small motels in the area had long since switched to digital records or closed altogether. But the Harbor Glen still kept its old ledgers, stacked in dusty banker's boxes, aging ink and all. And tucked inside the July 2002 logbook, she found it. Check-in date, July 14th, 2002. Name on file, B. Haley. No address. No phone. Room number 12. Paid in cash. 1 night. 2 guests noted. No checkout recorded. Ray's pulse ticked upward. The name was a reversal. Not Brooke Haley, but B. Haley, as if someone had blended the twins' names on purpose. Careless or clever. Maybe both. She spoke with the only remaining staff member who had worked there at the time, Angela Reed, now in her late 60s, still sharp. Angela flipped through the log, her finger resting on the entry. That was the weekend with the 2 girls, she said, voice low. I remember. They were polite. Looked like sisters. Quiet. Twins? Ray asked. Angela nodded. Definitely. I remember thinking they didn't seem like runaways. Just waiting for someone. Ray showed her old photographs of Haley and Brooke. Angela didn't hesitate. Yes, that's them. They were in that room. Ray sat back. Did they say anything? Mention why they were there? Angela shook her head. They mostly kept to themselves. I brought them towels. They barely opened the door. But I remember this clearly. The second day, a man came to get them. Her eyes darkened slightly. He didn't come to the front desk. Just pulled into the lot. They walked straight to the car. What kind of car? Green. Older. 4-door. I remember the sound. Kind of rattled when it idled. They got in fast. Ray leaned forward. Did you go look at him? Angela hesitated. Not clearly. He had a baseball cap. Never looked toward the office. Just drove off. They didn't even check out. The woods behind the Harbor Glen Motel were dense and overlooked. A thicket of overgrown trails and forgotten footpaths that once bordered an abandoned nature loop. Locals called it the cutoff, a shortcut to the highway, rarely used, barely maintained. Detective Monica Ray stood at the tree line with a K-9 team from the state unit, the early morning sun barely piercing the canopy overhead. It had been 13 years since anyone had searched this ground with purpose. Now, they had a reason. The ledger. The room. The car. and the fact that Haley and Brooke Merrill had walked away from that motel alive. 2 dogs worked the perimeter, sniffing through thick brush and shallow root beds. The terrain was rough, damp in places, tangled with vines and years of undisturbed growth. Then a shift. 1 dog stiffened, pawed at a mound of leaves, barked once. The handler moved fast. Less than 5 minutes later, they began to dig. Beneath a thin layer of earth, not deep, but intentionally hidden, was a plastic container, weathered, its corners chipped. A simple latch held it shut. Ray knelt beside it and opened the lid. Inside, resting on a bed of black cloth, Asterisk a camcorder battery, branded the same as the one used in the party tape. Asterisk in a single, dirt-caked canvas shoe, child-sized, once pale pink, now dulled by years of rain and soil. On the inside heel, BM, written in fading marker. Brooke Merrill. Ray sat back on her heels. The evidence wasn't dramatic. There were no answers written in ink. No confession. No footprints. But this changed everything. The party hadn't been the end. The motel hadn't been the end. This was the next stop. A middle chapter in a story that had refused to stay closed. The girls had come this way. Someone had brought them here, or met them here, and left just enough behind to prove it. 21 years have passed. The world has moved on. New houses built, families relocated, streets renamed. The pool behind the Martin house was filled in years ago, replaced with a vegetable garden. The old storage facility has been torn down, and the motel behind the forest finally closed its doors for good. But the Merrill case still lingers, quiet, unsettled, and open. Detective Monica, Ray hasn't let go. The man in the footage, the one who hovered at the edges of parties, who appeared at the gas station, who drove the green sedan, has never been identified. Facial recognition systems came and went. New technology tried. None of it mattered. He remains a shadow. But even shadows leave footprints. And thanks to Haley and Brooke, the locker, the storm tunnel, the shoe, the battery, the uncut footage, something undeniable has emerged. They didn't disappear because they were careless. They didn't run away. They were followed, targeted, silenced. But they left traces behind. And those traces rewrote everything. Every year, on the anniversary, Elena Merrill visits the gate behind Willow Creek, the one her daughters walked through that summer night in 2002. The party is long forgotten. The lawn has changed. Most of the people who live nearby have moved away. But the gate is still there. And every July 13th, Elena ties a single white ribbon to the chain link. Soft, silent, like a whisper through the trees. They didn't run, she says. They didn't vanish. Someone tried to erase them. But the truth doesn't stay buried forever. Detective Ray still keeps the caseboard in her office. It's tucked behind a curtain now. Not for secrecy, but for preservation. The footage still plays. The map still glows with red dots. The locker key still sits in a clear evidence envelope. She hasn't solved it. Not yet. But the case breathes. And sometimes that's enough to know. The story isn't over. In interviews, Ray has been asked what drives her to keep looking. Why she still opens the files, checks the phone logs, reviews the same minutes of video, frame by frame. Her answer is always the same. Because they left a trail. Because they believe someone would find it. And because even if the world forgot, they didn't go quietly. The footage. The locker, the forest, the ribbon. They all say the same thing. The truth is still out there, and it's waiting to be heard.